with the balls of the feet on the footbar and the pelvis suspended slightly off the carriage. Bring the gesture leg to tabletop and the supporting leg. Press the carriage out, extending the knees and hips, keeping the pelvis suspended. Keep the gesture leg in tabletop as you press the carriage out and return the carriage back in. The pelvis maintains that neutral position throughout, without hyperextending through the low back or flexing through the low back. Keep the pelvis neutral as you exhale to extend and inhale to return the carriage in. Avoid rotating or lateral shifting through the pelvis. To prepare, lift the hips slightly off the carriage, pressing into the heels. Then take one leg to tabletop 90 degrees and begin to press the carriage away with supporting leg, extending the hip and knee and keeping the pelvis hovered off the carriage. Keep the floating leg in tabletop at 90 and maintain a neutral pelvis. You're going to exhale to press away and straightening the leg. Inhale to return the carriage in. The pelvis should maintain the same alignment throughout the exercise. We want to extend the knee and hip without losing the abdominal connection and the stability, avoiding twisting and rotating the pelvis while you're doing the single leg. Starting with the heels on the bar, without moving the carriage, sequentially articulate the spine, peeling off the mat into your bridge position until the hip joints are extended as much as possible and spine is neutral. Inhale at the top and exhale to roll down through the spine, bringing the pelvis back to the carriage in neutral. Once in the bridge at the top, press through the heels and extend the carriage out, straightening the knees and lowering the pelvis down to the bodies in a straight line from the heels to the shoulders. Pelvis hovered a little bit off the carriage. Pull the carriage in, bringing yourself back up to the hip extended position, knees flexed, pulling back into the stopper. Exhale to press out, inhale to pull in, rolling down sequentially through the spine, resting the pelvis back in neutral. Make sure throughout the exercise that abdominal engagement is maintained throughout to avoid hyperextending through the low back and keeping supported through the top of the spine, not on the neck. Exhale without moving the carriage, articulate the spine sequentially off the carriage from tail to upper thoracic until hip joints are as extended as possible and spine is in neutral. Inhale to stay and then exhale to extend the knees to press the carriage out, lowering the pelvis to make one line from shoulders to heels. Ensure to maintain a neutral pelvis. Inhale to flex the knees to return the carriage in, lifting the pelvis to extend the hips back into the bridge, keeping the weight on the upper thoracic. Exhale without moving the carriage, initiate from the upper back and articulate the spine back into a neutral position after doing several repetitions of the exercise. Without moving the carriage, balls of feet on footbar, articulate the spine, peeling off the carriage and into a hip extended position. As you inhale, maintain the position, and then exhale to press the carriage out, lowering the pelvis to make one line from shoulders to heels. Ensure a neutral pelvis position. Inhale to flex the knees, maintaining a laterally rotated position to return the carriage in, lifting the pelvis to extend the hips as much as possible, keeping a neutral spine and pelvis. Without moving the carriage, initiate from the upper back and articulate the spine onto the carriage after doing 5 to 10 repetitions. Make sure to avoid hyperextending through the low back as the pelvis lowers and lifts into the positions. Starting with the arches of the feet on the footbar and keeping the carriage still, articulate the spine sequentially off the carriage until hip joints are extended. Once there, marching one foot off the bar into tabletop, pressing the other foot down into the bar and maintaining your hip extended position. Keeping the gesture leg in tabletop, start to press the carriage out, extending the knee and hip and lowering the pelvis down just above the carriage. When out, keep a straight line between the shoulders, the hips, and the heels. Maintain a neutral position, avoiding hyperextension through the low back. Exhaling to press away, inhale to return, lifting the hips up as the carriage comes back in. To finish, lower both feet back to the bar and articulate the spine back to neutral. Starting with the balls of the feet on the footbar, peel the spine up, extending the hips into a hip extended bridge position. Lift the gesture leg into tabletop, and as you press the carriage out, extend the knee, keeping the leg straight. As the supporting leg flexes at the knee and hip to return the carriage in, bring the gesture leg straight over the bar. Inhale to extend the carriage out, exhale to pull the carriage in, lifting the hips and reaching your gesture leg forward. Throughout this exercise, there's a strong challenge of pelvic stability to maintain a neutral position throughout, avoiding rotation or lateral flexion, and keeping the lower back from hyperextending as you lower the pelvis and lift it back up.